How many of you want to better understand the world that we live in? Well, to do this, you must first understand one thing: conflict theory. Conflict theory is one of the major sociological models for understanding the social world we live in. Conflict theory itself has three main components. The first component is that conflict theory is a common and ongoing feature of society. In fact, conflict theory is the most basic feature of social life. The second component is that conflict theory society is made up of various social groups who have conflicting values and interests. Finally, the third component states that all societal conflict occurs between dominant and subordinate social groups who are in competition over resources. Today, the best and most clear example of conflict theory playing a role in the U.S. is in the political elections. The conflict perspective was developed in the late 18th and 19th centuries and is primarily associated with both Karl Marx and Max Weber. Where most other sociological theories focus on the positive aspects of society, conflict theory, in contrast, focuses on on conflicting and changing natures of society. The first component of conflict theory talks about how there is always ongoing conflict in society. Weber and Marx can agree in saying that every society that is made up of different classes has conflict between those classes. Competing conflicting classes and fighting in general are social behaviors that are caused by fighting between social groups or classes. These conflicts can be over many issues, but they usually revolve around a power struggle involving different ideologies. One example from today is the conflict between what classes, the upper and middle and lower classes, should receive the biggest tax breaks. The second component of conflict theory talks about how society is made up of various social groups who have conflicting values and interests. Conflict theory essentially says that individuals participate in social functions to maximize their own personal benefit. I know it may seem crazy, but nearly everything you do in life is for your own personal benefit in some way. Such as when you give a bum $1, you kind of feel better about yourself, thus you have a personal gain. Conflict theory can be a group of views in social science that stress the inequality of social groups. These views may be social, political, or material in an economic sense. Marx argues that the wealth distribution in the capitalist society is the cause of conflicting values in different groups. Due to the different social classes, Marx says that the wealthy control the values, what values are important in any society due to the fact that they own the means of production and most private property. Thus, the dominant ideology of any capitalist society is that of the ruling or dominant class. The third component of conflict theory states that all societal conflicts occur between dominant and subordinate social groups who are in competition over resources. Due to capitalist systems having such a large difference in classes, there's an equally large power differential in society. Karl Marx argues that because the dominant class in a capitalist society is that which owns property and the means of producing goods, there will always be conflict between classes. Therefore, the working class are jealous and wish they had power and control, such as the dominant class. In conclusion, it was over a century ago that Karl Marx created the conflict theory. The basis of conflict theory proves to be true to this day. We in America and elsewhere certainly have dominant and subordinate groups, in which the dominant groups have power and wealth, while the subordinate groups are working class citizens and contribute to the wealth in the capitalist society in America. As I stated earlier, conflict theory is one of the major sociological models for understanding the social world, and both Marx and Weber have contributed much to the conflict theory and the way we understand social theory in a modern society.